one of the greatest mysteries on Earth is still, to this day, unsolved. And that is how and why was the Great Pyramid of Giza constructed. Of course, there are dozens of other standing structures that fall into the same category of mysterious. One in particular, Coral Castle of Leisure City, Florida, which, much like the Great Pyramid of Giza, seems to be another energetic monument. What I mean is, it is very, very common for these structures to have been built in the area of an energy vortex. Yet strangely, no one can explain why. Maybe the key to understanding why something was built is understanding how it was built. There are mysterious megalithic marvels all across our planet, folks. And how many of those mysteries have been solved? There are many theories that will remain because no one has been able to come to a conclusion that everyone can undoubtedly agree to be the truth. In spite of this, we are going to take a serious look at one or two of the theorized methods used to build some of these great structures. Now, there are some bad dudes out there, and if I had full knowledge of how to levitate a 70-ton rock and move it to wherever I wanted, could you blame me for not telling anyone? I'm talking about sonic levitation and magnetics. Yes, anti-gravity. First, gravity is just a general term used to refer to the attraction or gravitation of objects with mass. Now this force, this attraction, is generated by movement. If two objects with mass are alike, they gravitate toward each other. If they are not, they repel each other. Are you with me so far? You and I are from the Earth. Our bodies and the Earth are made of elements from the same periodic table. Therefore, we are somewhat bound to our planet by attraction. If you take two pieces of metal that are exactly alike and you place them inside a true vacuum and push them together, those two pieces of metal are now permanently bound together to form one piece. An object's atomic structural integrity is dependent upon gravity. So, you can't just turn gravity off or live without it. You lose bone density and basically turn into mush without the proper amount. This is why you can't spend too much time floating around in space without being able to simulate the Earth's gravitational force. Now, like I said, this force is generated by movement, by vibration. The frequency, the cycles per second, determines what the atomic structure of an element is. It also determines what atoms have a strong hold on each other, and the atoms that have a weak hold on each other. The movement of the electrons in these atoms creates an electrical charge. Because this electricity needs a current to flow, it automatically creates polarity within an object according to the polarity of the Earth. So, in order to levitate an object, you either have to turn off the gravity around it and hope the atomic structure of the object stays intact, or you somehow reverse the polarity of the object so that the Earth pushes it away. Or, another way of achieving this is by manipulating the pressure surrounding an object using sound waves. If you bounce a sound wave off of a reflector back to the source, or have two sound waves that are the same frequency aimed at each other, this will create what's called a standing wave. If the vibration of the standing wave is strong enough, it can hold an object within it. Now, everything that I have just said is very basic when it comes to actually applying this knowledge to levitate an 80-ton granite block, which is what you will find in Khufu, the Great Pyramid of Giza. This pyramid consists of over 2 million stone blocks of various sizes from several quarries. The limestone blocks are believed to have come from quarries just across the Nile River, but the larger granite blocks are known to come from Aswan, which is over 500 miles away from the pyramid. Think about this for a moment. 500 miles. This is about the same distance from New York City to Detroit, Michigan. In a vehicle that's a good 8-hour drive, traveling anywhere between 60 and 80 miles an hour. And I'm pretty sure that the ancient Egyptians didn't have cars and trucks. So, can anyone tell me how you cut, lift, and move an 80-ton stone over 3,800 years ago?
It was slaves. They moved the blocks on some rolling logs and they floated the blocks along the river.
Now you're probably scratching your head going, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know anyone that can walk 500 miles, let alone agree to push or pull an 80-ton block that distance. Oh, but they were slaves, so they didn't have a choice. Well, they may not have had a choice, but you still have to be physically capable of doing such an unimaginable job. Even if you have 1,000 men moving this thing, how fast could they possibly go? There's no time. Not only that, even if it took 20 years to build this pyramid, that's about 12 blocks you have to put in place every hour, non-stop. Trust me, folks, whoever the super genius was that designed this thing knew exactly how to efficiently build it, and they already knew exactly how they were going to move such massive stones, long distance, in a short period of time. There are stories that suggest the stones were struck with something like a metal rod and began to float. They were moved along a stone road, lined with other metal rods sticking out from the ground. Could it be that these rods were used to resonate certain sonic frequencies that would cause the stones to levitate? Well, one thing is for certain. The ancient Egyptians and other ancient civilizations knew a lot more about frequencies than we do. Where do you think the information comes from in the first place? Tibetan monks are said to have levitated large boulders up the sides of mountains using great horns and drums. This has been documented, and it is said that this has been filmed. Which brings us to Edward Leeds Scallan, the designer and lone builder of Coral Castle. Now, this castle is not made from coral. It's made from limestone with some coral on it. And it looks more like a park than a castle, which is probably why the original name was Rock Gate Park. Why Rock Gate? Because it has this perfectly balanced 9-ton rock door that a child could open with the touch of a finger. Not to mention the other gates and doorways in this place. Aside from the astrological theme with its crescent moons and telescope, it has plenty of tables and rocking chairs, along with a castle tower with living quarters and a throne. 1,100 tons of rock, folks, cut to shape and put into place by one 100-pound, 5-foot-tall nerd. A 28-year project, completed in secrecy, with no witnesses. Well, maybe a couple. There was once a group of children who claimed to have seen Leeds Scallan actually levitating rock. Also, the castle was originally built in Florida City. It was then dismantled, placed on a truck, and moved to Leisure City, where it was put back together again by Leeds Scallan. Now, the truck driver was ordered to leave the truck and come back the next morning to pick up the load, because Leeds Scallan didn't want the driver to see him loading the truck. However, on one occasion, the driver returned to the truck within only a half an hour of dropping it off, to find that the truck had already been loaded with several huge stone blocks. Now, either this guy was drinking gummy berry juice or he was levitating stones, because it's going to take a lot longer than a half hour to load multi-ton blocks using machinery. I can't load a truck with my bedroom furniture in a half an hour, and all that stuff weighs a lot less than a ton. Sonic levitation, anti-gravity, Can you imagine how much of a superhuman you would be with a complete understanding of how something like this works? It would make you quite powerful indeed, and perhaps dangerous as well. It seems that the ones who truly understood frequency, sonic levitation, and anti-gravity and anything are all gone now. These old great structures speak for themselves. You see, the problem with many smart people today is that they overcomplicate things that are truly simple in nature. Which is probably why instead of levitating a boulder up the side of a mountain, they're in the laboratory, floating pebbles.